So, you see him on Top Chef, you see him on Iron Chef, you see him on, yeah, I don't know if you see him on Hell's Kitchen or not, but a mandolin, in our school, in my school, we don't let the students touch a mandolin until their third or fourth or fifth quarter. A lot of times students will come to me and say, can we use the mandolin? And my immediate response is no. That I'm not here to teach you how to use a mandolin. I want you to have knife skills. When I watch Top Chef, it drives me insane when I see these guys who are calling themselves chefs, and they lack really foundation and fundamental skills. So we don't let them mandolin until we know that they can julienne by hand. But for quick and easy 5-minute coleslaw, I took the julienne blades and I laid it flat, and this is just going to shred my cabbage thin. I feel at this point I should say it slices, it dices.
Yeah.
It's made in Germany. Things are made in Germany, right? But what you end up with is that long, thin shredded cabbage. So it took me 15 seconds to do a quarter of it. It'll take me a minute to finish the rest of that. Now I can engage those julienne teeth, and I can take my carrot, and I can julienne my carrot, and what I end up with are those long, thin sticks. And I can do the same with my apple. So I have a nice thin julienne apple, a little bit of carrot for color. Now I can't use my mandolin and cheat for my onion, and I can't use my mandolin and cheat for my green pepper. So there I'm going to have a little bit of a knife skill. I'm just going to quick and that's just a quarter of a pepper. And I would maybe cut these in half because they're a little long. But that's our pepper. On the onion, I'm going to use the same idea. I am going to cut those in half because there's nothing worse than big pieces of onion. So this is my base. I've got my cabbage, my carrot, my pepper, my onion, and my apple. It's a colorful mix. This you can do ahead of time, and I guess I wouldn't add the apple if you're not going to toss it and serve it right away. But if you are going to toss it in the dressing, you can certainly put the apple in now and you can let it sit. I like my coleslaw soggy. I'm not a crisp cabbage person, so to me the best cabbage or the best coleslaw is made the day before, and you let it sit in the refrigerator overnight, and the flavor is mellow, and it gets a little bit soupy sometimes, but you can just skim some of that liquid off. It's, to me, a tender cabbage is a nicer cabbage. So, for my seasoning, I have my barbecue spice, and I'm just going to throw maybe a tablespoon in there. That was a short tablespoon. I didn't have all my cabbage in. Your standard salt and pepper. So that's a teaspoon of pepper. Got to have some cayenne for heat. It's probably a quarter of a teaspoon of cayenne. Here's my salt. That's a full teaspoon of salt. Celery seed. Celery seed you see in a lot. Has anybody been to Jack Stack barbecue? Celery seed is the predominant flavor in their barbecue sauce. It adds a really nice depth of flavor, and it gives it a little bit of celery punch to it. A little bit of dry mustard. You can use liquid mustard, but I think dry has a little more heat to it. This is my cider vinegar. And then I like a balance of mayonnaise and sour cream. I think the combination gives you a little better texture and a little better flavor profile. All sour cream doesn't have enough tang, but all mayonnaise doesn't have that good dairy richness that you get from sour cream. So I'm going to, and I got to tell you, in the kitchen, the best tool you've got is right there on the end of your arm. So I'm just going to put on a pair of gloves, and I'm going to mix this up by hand. Ooh, I left out my theme ingredient. If you notice that I didn't have any sugar in any of my mise en place containers, so what I'm missing is that sweet component. I get it from apple butter. So probably a good quarter cup of apple butter. And again, that's going to give us our apple flavor, and it's going to balance out the vinegar and the sugar and the mayonnaise in our dressing.